This is NWCN. Northwest news and weather 24 hours a day. Now, Northwest News First Edition.
Good morning, everyone. It's Friday, May 18th. Here's your first look at what's making headlines. Facebook goes public. The social media giant is banking on investors liking the company's initial public offering this morning. The latest crime numbers are out for the state of Washington. What police in one city are saying about their high crime rate. And this orphaned bear cub travels from the Northwest to the Midwest to find a new home. But first, let's get started with a check on what you face as you head out the door with Don Carson standing by in the First Alert Weather Center.
Okay, Stephen, let's take a look at what we can expect across the entire region today.
Thanks, Don. It's a day many investors have been waiting for. In just a few hours, Facebook will make thousands of financial friends. The social networking giant is making its initial public offering on Wall Street. Each share is priced at $38. The move is generating $16 billion for the company and its private shareholders. With some investors are skeptical about Facebook's long-term profitability, most are hopeful ad revenue will sustain business for a long time.
As an advertiser, I couldn't knock down the idea that these people know more about more people than anybody. It's got to be worth something.
The IPO now puts Facebook's value at $104 billion. The stock is expected to start trading on the NASDAQ at around 8 o'clock Pacific time. That's 90 minutes after the stock market opens to give the stock exchange time to process what is expected to be a busy opening day. A Pierce County man accused of assaulting his girlfriend's children could make his first court appearance today. Heather Bervin shared this picture of her 18-month-old son, Makai Hampton, who's in the hospital with severe head wounds. Her other son, 3-year-old Tyrone Hampton Jr., is also injured but doing okay. Deputies say her boyfriend, Stephen Parabanos, put the kids in the hospital. Investigators say he assaulted them in their apartment while the mother was away from home.
It is the worst feeling in the world. I feel like a failure, and I just wish my babies didn't have to go through that. I wish I could take their pain, but I can't.
A third child was unharmed. Deputies don't know why the children were injured. They say the boyfriend isn't talking. Also in Pierce County, prosecutors say they're not happy the sister of Maurice Clemens is being released from prison earlier than expected. Clemens killed 4 Lakewood police officers in 2009, and last year, LaTanya Clemens was sentenced to 5 years in prison after being convicted of helping her brother's getaway driver. Her upcoming jury release date was set under an old law allowing her sentence to be cut in half. That law is no longer in effect. The latest Washington crime reports show the city of Spokane has a higher crime rate than Seattle, Tacoma, and Yakima. Spokane also tops the list for property crime and comes in second for violent crime. Police say they just don't have the manpower to tackle the problem.
I definitely think people would be shocked and dismayed at the number of officers that are working at any given time. I think they greatly overestimate that.
Spokane County's overall crime rate was also higher than both King and Pierce counties. Beyond the Northwest, a big meeting at the White House today between President Obama and the new president of France. And then 24 other world leaders are going to join the president at Camp David to talk about the problems Europe's economy is having. NWCN's Dave Cassidy joins us from Washington, D.C. And Dave, Europe's problems are affecting us too, aren't they?
Yes, Stephen, we saw this again yesterday. Big losses on our stock market because of what's happening in Europe. Francois Hollande was sworn in as the new president of France this week. He says he'll do more than just cut government spending to help the French economy recover. The White House says our economy bounced back faster than Europe's did because President Obama and Congress decided the government should spend more to help the economy grow again, while European countries focused almost entirely on cutting spending. French voters rebelled against that by electing Hollande, and we've seen demonstrations all over Europe saying the budget cuts resulted in government workers losing their jobs on top of all the private sector workers who were losing theirs. And American jobs could be on the line here too. If Europe really goes in the tank, they'll have less money to buy American goods, and if that happens, we could have layoffs at the companies that rely on those exports. Stephen?
And Dave, as a practical matter, is there anything that our government can do to help turn things around over there?
I'm sure President Obama is going to say as nicely as he can to the European leaders, look, if all you do is cut spending, in the president's opinion, you don't grow your economy. Now, that's the argument the Europeans are having, so the notion that our president is suddenly going to transform that debate and they'll all live happily ever after, don't hold your breath, Stephen.
All right, Dave, thank you very much for that report. In Oregon, the Reynolds School District canceled classes for Monday as hundreds of teachers prepare to strike. The two sides met last night but failed to reach an agreement. District leaders say it can't afford what the teachers want without cutting jobs.
No one wants to go on strike. The teachers do not want to go on strike. We will work as long as it takes, as hard as it takes to get a settlement so that we are not on strike.
The district and teachers union will meet again on Sunday. If a deal isn't reached, teachers will walk out Monday morning at 6. Two parks that house the Occupy Portland encampment in November are now back open to the public. City crews took down the fences that surrounded the grass, Chapman and Lounsdale squares. The parks needed significant repairs after a month-long takeover by protesters came to an end late last year. The city says it cost $114,000 to get the parks back in shape. This morning, a Portland bus driver being credited with saving a woman from a brutal attack. Larry Porter hadn't even started his TriMet route on Wednesday when he says he noticed a man assaulting a woman. He quickly pulled over, yelled at the man to stop, but the attack continued. Porter then tackled the man and held him down until police arrived.
And the way I was brought up is that you see somebody who needs help, no matter what color, what race, what gender, you help them. I'm just a normal guy who did what should have been done.
Porter says it appears the man and woman had been fighting over a cell phone. Police did not arrest the man because Porter says the woman left before they showed up. The famous Copper River salmon arrives in Seattle today. Big day. This is video of last year's delivery at SeaTac Airport. Every year, the fatty fish prized for its taste is flown in from Alaska. It's not clear yet how much exactly Copper River salmon will cost you this year. However, a chef at Ray's Boathouse in Seattle speculates restaurant prices could range from about $40 to $50 a pound for the fish because of the good fish runs this year. An orphaned Oregon bear cub is now calling a Wisconsin zoo home. A family in Medford found this little guy last month. Then they took him home. Then they realized they had no clue how to care for him, so they called the Oregon Zoo. Probably a good move. Zookeeper watched over the little guy, but because the zoo's bear exhibit is full, he's moving on to Wisconsin. The Wisconsin Zoo named him Aldo. Time now to check in with Don Carson and see how things are looking for the weather for the Bears and all of us this weekend.
Yeah, well.